Good evening, my lovelies. It's been an age since I've been in the group to do a live, and that's mainly because I've been doing live therapy every month on the programme. So just been a time thing, really. Obviously, a lot of you know that I actually run the clinic as well. I've got a clinic that I run that's full time. So this is, excuse me, this is something that had to take a back burner for a little while, but I think it really is time to get us all back on track. If you've had any kind of emotional fallout from the last year, then the chances are that it's going to have impacted on your way of eating. It's a very rare person that is able to just stay in this really, really strong place in the face of such massive changes. And I think apparently there's a thing that is like, it's called the COVID 10 plus 10 pounds, you know. I mean, it is actually such a thing that people are, you know, putting on a good dress size or so just because you're at home a lot of the time. There's more temptations. It's not just the emotional fallout, but it's the fact that, you know, especially if you're not working as much or you're working next to the kitchen, a lot of people I'm hearing are kind of having to make a makeshift office which is near the kitchen or even in the kitchen. So it's very easy to fall into that routine of just, you know, nipping to the cupboards. It's just, it's almost impossible, I think, for a lot of people to have been able to stay on track. It's not surprising, is it? It's not surprising. So first of all, I would just like to say, you know, just take the pressure off yourself. If you've been having a shit time of it emotionally, or if you've been, you know, working from home, or if you've got more responsibility than you've ever had, or whatever those reasons might be for going off track this last year, they are reasons. They are not excuses. They truly aren't. You're not a machine, and you're not expected to be able to be strong about something as you know, as basic and as vital to your health and your well-being as your food. And that includes you know, that's vital to your mental health and your well-being, as well as your physical health as well. So first of all, getting back on track first of all starts with, just let's write a line under all of this, okay? Yes, there's been reasons. Hi, Jackie. Nice to see you, Flower. If, by the way, all of you guys that are watching me tonight, if you wouldn't mind just posting it underneath the comments and just saying hi to say that you're with me live. Or if you're watching this as a recording, then you can just write, I don't know, replay or something underneath, just so that I know that you've been watching and that you've been interacting, and that, yeah, it's been valuable for you that I've come on tonight. So yeah, whatever those reasons might have been in the last year for you to have felt like you've gone off track, they really are reasons. They are not excuses. Remember, this is your food, and it's very easy for it to become an out of control situation just because food addiction is so very easy to fall into. It's a very easy pattern to fall into, and if you've dieted in the past, then your body remembers this kind of, you know, this food addiction pattern and falls back into it very easily. So, you know, these have been unprecedented times. They've been really, you know, times, I think people have probably said that an awful lot, but they have been, has been a time that you've never experienced before. So yeah, taking the pressure off yourself first of all is most definitely the first step. And recognising that you can draw a line under it now. We're in a great time. In fact, today, what a great date today. Things are slowly starting to move out from today. And also the weather's lovely. There is that feeling that spring's in the air, isn't it? And that the world is starting to open up, you know, here in our Western Hemisphere, for you guys that are watching in the UK. We are just about to go into this most delightful time of the year when you feel everything beginning to wake up. The weather's getting warmer. We're wearing less clothes. There's that temptation now to, you know, to get out more. And of course, along with that comes that dressing less, thinking about the summer, and all of that might entail. Okay, so we might not be going on lots and lots of summer holidays now, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? This is a perfect time for you to have that feeling of getting back on track. It's a lovely time of the year to do it, and there is that sense that we are emerging out of something and into more, you know, autonomy and a feeling of being in control. So there are a few steps towards getting, you know, for getting back on track. 5 really clear steps that you can go through one by one. Each step builds on itself, builds on the next step. So these 5 steps are a progress. They're always the same steps. No matter how far you've been off track, they're always the same steps. So no matter how many times you've been off track, so-called off track, and come back on again, these are always the same steps. This is always the same roadmap. And this is what I would do if I'd gone off track as well. You know, you can take as long as you like over it. You know, the period of time doesn't really matter. If you've been off track and then come back on many times, you know, if you've gone off keto and come back onto keto and back into weight loss many times, then this might happen a lot quicker for you. If this is only, you know, the second or the third time that you've done this, then you might find that it's going to take a little bit of time. Every time we do this, it gets easier. Every single time you go off track and come back, it gets easier. So the first step, I know this sounds very basic, but it is worth mentioning because the first step is to pick a day. So I'm looking at my notes while I'm telling you this to remind me. Not that I need reminding, but I just want to make sure. So yeah, the first step is literally pick a day. Now there's a good reason for this, because you can feel prepared. You know, you can do your shopping, you can organise your week, you can organise work, you can organise what your lunches are going to be. You've got, you know, you're prepared mentally, but I think also psychologically as well. So if you're preparing yourself psychologically, then you've got an idea in your head of when this is going to be. This helps you to just feel more in control of when that day starts, because you've done your shopping, you've done your organising, and if you're going to be taking, you know, food to work and you need to organise those lunches in advance, you've got time to do it that way. Always be prepared. There's a really good old-fashioned saying in business: prepare to succeed. Oh, sorry, no, fail to prepare means prepare to fail. That's it, yeah. Fail to prepare means, yeah, prepare to fail. So, you know, preparation is everything. Don't overdo it, because you'll end up procrastinating, and you'll end up, if you're not too careful, of needing that feeling of having all your ducks in a row first of all, and being massively organised. I don't mean that necessarily. I mean, just pick a day after you've done the shopping, a day when you've had time to organise your food. Okay, that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be a massive preparation. But one thing I will say straight now: don't make it a Monday. If your traditional start for your weight loss day has always been on a Monday. Okay, the idea behind getting back on track is that you're going to do something that you've not done before. Okay, and the thing that you've not done before is sustainable weight loss that you can carry on. If your traditional day has been, you know, I'll start the diet on Monday, I'll have a blowout at the weekend, and then I'll start on Monday. You've got kind of like, you know, you're staying back in that old way of doing things. What you're better off doing by a mile is starting on Tuesday. Trust me, because you're already sending this message to yourself that you're doing it differently this time. So starting on a different day of the week than you'd normally start. Okay, even just by one day, trust me, even this tiny little detail, it's like changing a habit, you know, it's micro, you know, it's changing a micro habit. It's a really, really small habit that you're changing, but it's a really, really important one. So that first step is to plan in advance, to know what day you're going to do it, so you've got it clear in your head of what your week's going to look like and how that's going to work for you. As I say, without overdoing it, otherwise you're just going to procrastinate and you're just going to use it as a way to kind of keep it somewhere in the future. So you don't need to get your ducks lined up in a row. You don't need to be feeling it or anything else. You just need to be doing it. You're not going to be feeling it until you get into it. Okay, so don't worry about that. Don't think that you have to wait until you feel ready, because that's not going to happen. That's part of that feeling of lining your ducks up in a row. You know, there is no perfect moment to start. There is only the best moment. The perfect moment is yesterday. The best moment is as soon as possible. Okay, so bear that in mind. You're not going to necessarily be zippity-doo-darring around the place. You're not necessarily going to be, you know, really, really overeager about it. You might not be feeling it. Remember, when it comes to keto, and especially if you've used any of my tools before, any of the programs, if you've been one of my clients, you've been one of the members of the groups, you know yourself, the last thing that you need is massive amounts of motivation. It's not what you need. What you just need is to just start. All right, the motivation will come. The motivation comes out of those, you know, those first few days when you can start to feel your body changing, remembering how nice it feels, getting back into the zone again. You know, the 3 or 4 days as you're going into ketosis, and you can feel your energy levels beginning to kick up, and you start to remember all of those physical changes. Until you're actually in that moment where you're enjoying all of that, you can't necessarily remember how that feels. So if I were you, I'd just have this approach of, oh, I can't wait to get back into that. You know, don't think that you need massive amounts of motivation for it, or that you need, you know, massive amounts of prep as well. You don't. Just organise your food for the next few days so that you feel clear about what you're going to be eating. So yeah, so step 1 is, yeah, getting started, picking your day, being prepared. Don't expect to be wildly motivated. Just have that feeling of deciding to do it. You know, maybe a bit of quiet self-confidence in the fact that, yeah, you've done this before. You've done this already. You know how this works. You just need to crack on and get going with that first, you know, with that first few days. And that is, you know, that's always the tricky bit, is getting started. So this is why I'm actually, you know, bringing it in as the step. Get started, because we can, if we're not careful, keep putting it off until, as I say, what we feel is like the perfect moment, and there is never a perfect moment. There never is. Life will throw you one more curveball after another, one more reason to not get started, one more, I don't know, movie night with the family, or a meal out. Oh, sorry, no, not a meal out. Oh my gosh, a meal that's, you know, a meal that's planned or prepared with other people, I should say. Not quite a meal out yet, but it won't be long. So yeah, there's always going to be reasons, or you're going to have other you know, reasons why it might be a good idea to leave it until X, Y, Z. You will find more reasons. You really will. The best way to approach it is to just know that, as I say, you might not be feeling it at first, but just be confident in the fact that you know that you will be able to do this, and you will remember how it feels once you get going, and your body and those changes and how that feels will be your motivation. That will help you to get started, but once you remember how that feels. So yeah, I mean, this is the thing about getting started, is you can have that old diet and denial kind of mindset with it, where you kind of like, oh God, I've got to go on a diet again. And that can take a long time to go. Even if you've used my tools, if you've used the hypnotherapy and you've used all the other therapy as well, that old diet and denial mindset takes ages to go. Years, absolutely years, where we have this sense that when we're just about to go into a weight loss phase, it feels, or it equals somehow, punishment or denial or diet, you know, kind of that old approach that's been so much a part of the weight loss industry, is this idea that, yeah, you need this massive amount of motivation and support from all your family, and everybody's going to have to, like, you know, hide the chocolate and step around you and tiptoe around you because you're going to be in a foul mood and all the rest of it. Yeah, and it's going to take massive amounts of willpower and self-control and motivation and just this like huge amount of burst of energy to do it. That in itself gets so self-defeating. It gets so hard to keep up. You don't need all of that. That's the lovely thing about keto, remember, is that actually it is its own reward. So just be aware of that you might feel like you're bracing yourself for something, or you're kind of having to gear up to something, or you're dreading something that actually is completely the opposite of that old diet and denial way of doing things. It is actually not being on a diet. It's just changing your way of eating. It is just kicking out the crap. But of course, that also means upping all the good stuff, right? So as a part of that, in fact, in order to perhaps help you to get out of that old diet and denial mindset, is to remember that you're going to be eating your favourite meals. How many favourite meals have you got? How many favourite meals have you got that you can prepare? Especially in the first couple of weeks. Make it all your favourite meals in the first couple of weeks. Plan to prepare your favourite meals so that you automatically get back into that lovely, lovely feeling of being able to relish your meals, that lovely sense of having this gorgeous, sumptuous banquet of food that's around for all of us, you know. So think about that when you're preparing and you're planning, getting started, is, yeah, make it your favourite food. How much more attractive is that than the old diet and denial way of low-fat misery? No, this is no low-fat misery, right? So this is, of course, if you've done keto before, then you're aware. And I think I'm actually probably talking to people in this group who have done keto before. So if you haven't done keto before and you're not quite sure how to get started with it in the first place, then this is a bit of a different conversation, really, because this is about getting back on track once you've, you know, gone off and you've kind of gone off the wagon. So this is to help you to get back on the wagon again, as it were. So yeah, so thinking about your favourite meals as well. Yeah, really go to town on it. So that's step one in all that preparation, in all that planning, is being mentally ready by just going for it. Don't expect to be throwing a party about it. Just kind of being quietly determined. In fact, you don't even need to announce it to people, do you? Unless you really feel that you need the support of people around you, just crack on. The less fuss you make over it, the easier it is to just get back into that place again where you're just enjoying your meals. So step two, then, once you've prepared and you've planned and you've started the first couple of days, is to keep it as simple as possible. So your favourite meals, I would say, make them the most uncomplicated meals that you can. Really, really basic, so that you are really familiar and confident and comfortable with how many carbs you've got in your meal. So keep them really basic, very simple. Okay, so this is about, because it's about getting back to basics as well. This is, you know, the idea is with being able to get back on track again, is that you go right back to basics. So if you have been on the program, if you're on the program at all, it's module 1, it's week 1, module 1, you know, it's right back to the basics again. And even if you've done it a few times, you know, you go back to that first module and there will be things on there that you've forgotten, that you haven't taken in. You know, we never take everything in. So it's worth going back to have a look and reacquainting yourself. So if you've been on keto before, what I would say is get straight into 30 grams a day or less. All right, dive straight in to that lower amount straight away, but lots of lovely high fat. Don't be tempted to go low fat. Don't be tempted to kind of start trying to shave off the calories and so on. You know, keep it sumptuously high fat. In fact, I would say at first even more fat than normal, because you really want to give your body this sense of being fed. And if you've been eating the processed crap, if you've been eating the sugar and you've been eating the processed carbs, then the chances are you've kind of triggered starvation mode again. You've triggered cravings. So this is a really important part of it. Eat your fats, because the fats are going to be the antidote to your cravings. Remember, that's what the fats do. The fats are going to give you that feeling of being fed on that really deep level. So fill your boots with the fats, really give your body what she wants, so that any cravings that you do get, you'll be able to kind of, you know, you'll be able to counterbalance those with this feeling of really feeding yourself well. So keep the meals really simple. So, you know, literally have the carbs be what you see on your plate. So if you've got 30 grams of carbs a day, then you can easily have your 5 a day still. You can have, like, say, a small portion of strawberries, like a handful of strawberries, a couple of tablespoons of broccoli, a couple of tablespoons of cauliflower, and some salad, maybe half a bag of salad or something like that, and then, you know, maybe some more salad, and then the bits and bobs with that as well. So if you do have a tiny amount of salad dressing or so on, that come up to your 20-30 grams of carbs. So you can easily have that 5 a day still. I think it's a myth that we can't have, you know, the vitamins and the nutrients. Make all your carbs a superfood. You know, make them all really, really count. So they're all really beautifully nutritious carbs. So yeah, your strawberries and your avocado and asparagus and some sulfurous veg and so on. I have beetroot every morning. I have a piece of beetroot every morning out of its juice because that is just such a superfood. So yeah, so keep it really, really simple. I would leave, you know, the more complicated meals and the more, you know, elaborate meals until you've got really familiar and comfortable with what that portion size looks like on your plate. So you know what your plates look like, you know what those carbs are, those carb portion sizes are again, and you get really familiar and comfortable with what that looks like and also what it feels like. So go for your pork chops and your lamb chops and your roast chicken and your bacon fat and your chicken skin and all the rest of it. So you're really reacquainting yourself with all that gorgeous, lovely, fatty food. And don't be tempted to go low fat just because you know it's going to take a few days to get into ketosis. It really is. It's what can I say? It's counterproductive. It's really counterproductive. So simple food, 20 to 30 grams of carbs a day, get back to basics with it, and really relish your fats as well. Okay, so that's step 2 of that step. As you get as you're getting started, the first couple of weeks, you're going into all of that. Keep it really simple. Step 3 is don't expect weight loss for the first couple of weeks. This is hard, I know, but if you don't expect weight loss for the first couple of weeks, again, you're turning all that old diet and denial kind of thinking on its head, because joining the weight loss groups, you're expecting to lose 2 pounds a week straight away, and then, you know, it's a 2 pound loss every week, and it gets really painful and so on. So actually, not even putting that pressure on yourself to lose the weight for the first couple of weeks will give you the chance to just enjoy it. To just enjoy, just to reacquaint yourself, just remember how nice this feels. Taking the pressure off yourself gives you the chance to be able to learn from your mistakes. Okay, so any mistakes that you're going to learn over the next couple of weeks, it also gives you a chance to enjoy it. It gives you a chance to get to relish your meals again and get reacquainted with it all without that pressure of losing the weight straight away. I mean, the chances are, you know yourself, you probably are going to lose the weight. You probably are going to, you know, it's probably going to drop off you. It really is. But just that first kind of like little bubble of space, it's like a little bit of bubble wrap around you where you're just kind of giving yourself a little bit of a breathing space. Because I'm sure as well that while you've been going through whatever it is that you've been going through and you found yourself gone off track and possibly feeling these horrible addictive you know, these addictive feelings around food and out of control urges, I'm sure that you've been beating yourself up at some point about it and feeling upset with yourself and feeling demotivated and feeling like, you know, you're a failure or whatever. So now is the time to let go of all of that and to just let go of all of the pressure to lose weight at first, because it will be a far more beneficial way of doing that. Because also, yes, so it stops you feeling as well as if it's a quick fix, you know, which is, you know, if you're going to try and lose weight as quickly as possible, you have this feeling that it's like this is a quick fix thing. And so again, this is about changing, you know, 180 degrees around, of changing how you approach it. So starting your diet on a different day, or starting back on track, I should say. Diet as in way of eating, I should say. When I say diet, I never mean low fat diet. So starting on a different day, changing your approach and how you feel about it, taking the pressure off yourself to lose weight immediately stops that feeling of it being a quick fix. It kind of sends this, again, it's like it sends this psychological message to you that you're in it for the long run, that you're going to do it properly this time, that you want to get it right this time, that you know, you want it to be sustainable into the long term. So therefore, this first couple of weeks, trust me, if you just take the pressure off yourself, you will find that you'll get into it a lot easier, you'll enjoy it a lot more, and you'll get more benefit from it in the long run by a mile if you just give yourself that break. So out of that, I would say step 4 is use the scales once, weigh yourself, and then put them away. just for a couple of weeks. Put the scales away. I have them in my airing cupboard because they're buggers. They are there to tempt you. There will be that, oh, I wonder if, let me see how I'm doing, you know, and this stops you, obviously, if you do put them out the way, this stops you being tempted to get on them every morning. Put them out the way, put them in the garage. If they need to be quite far away, if you're one of those girls, as most of us are, that the moment that you've had the tiniest sip of coffee, that's it, you can't weigh yourself now because it won't be accurate, means that if they're not where they normally are, you can walk past them downstairs, make yourself a drink. The moment that you've had a drink, you won't be tempted to go on the scales anymore. And that, again, that's part of that don't worry about weight loss for the first couple of weeks, because that's about taking the pressure off yourself. And what happens then? If you put the scales away for a couple of weeks, apart from being really, really liberating, especially if you are a once a day girl, it's a lovely feeling, really freeing, honestly. So what happens then? Yeah, if you take the scales out of the equation, you're going to start to listen to your body. You're going to start to notice some different kinds of signs. Rather than trusting on the scales to tell you how well you're doing, you're going to trust yourself. You're going to feel it. And that really helps, because if you're tuned in even more acutely to what your body's telling you, to those you know, signs from your body, if you start to notice your bloating going down, you start to notice your brain fog clearing, you start to notice that you've got your energy levels up a gear again, you start to notice that your hunger pangs are starting to go away, that you're feeling more filled, that you're not bloated in the same way though, so it's a satisfied kind of filled. If you start to notice all of these things, you'll feel more confident in carrying on. If you use the scales as the only feedback for you on how well you're doing, that you're handing over your power to that little number. So you take it back by chucking the scales out of the equation just for 2 weeks. You take it back. If you want, what you could do is you could measure yourself. You could use a tape measure, measure your underbust or measure your waist if you want to do that. Or you can use a piece of clothing that at the moment is a little bit tight, but just a little bit, so that you can just start to notice that it's just starting to feel that little bit looser after a couple of weeks or so, rather than the scales. You know, there's lots of other ways of doing it. You could take a photo of your body, you could take a photo of yourself and then take a photo in 2 weeks. These are far more reliable feedbacks. The scales are not accurate, as we know. They don't reflect exactly what's going on in your body. Sometimes, if I've gone for a bike ride, I might put on a couple of pounds. But that's only because my muscles are swollen, and and everything expands if you go on a big bike ride, because your muscles weigh a lot more than fat. So when your muscles expand and they're full of blood, basically, that you weigh more temporarily, and then the next day it goes back down again. And that I only know from experience, that this is, you know, they're all over the place. They don't give the whole picture. So these two steps are really tied in with each other, that you don't expect weight loss at first, but don't rely on the scales. All right, they'll be so disheartening. If you feel that it doesn't feel like anything's shifting after 2 weeks, then you can start to use the scales as feedback, and then you can start to kind of maybe play around, because perhaps you're there's something that you're doing that is preventing and stalling your weight loss for whatever reason, and it can be any number of things, but just give yourself that chance. Again, it's about that bubble wrap of space, of just doing this, taking the pressure off, just cracking on with, you know, it's like you actually have this sense of seeing it in a different way, because it feels more like you're just doing this for you're just cracking on with it. You're just doing it for the health, or you're doing it for the pleasure of it. You know, you're just doing it because it feels nice, not because of what the scales tell you. And ultimately, that's what it is, isn't it? We are not here to lose weight, to have a healthy body. We're not doing this because of a number on the scales. That's not, nobody ever, when I say to clients, you know, why would you like to lose weight? Oh, because I'd like to see a different number on the scales. Never. That's not why we want to lose weight. We want to lose weight because it feels good. because we feel wonderful, we feel lighter, we feel slender, we love our clothes, we love what we see in the mirror, we feel gorgeous, we've got loads of energy, we feel like we're an inspiration to other people. There's all kinds of reasons, so many reasons. And this is another thing that I was going to say. As far as the motivation for weight loss. So this is step 4 really, and I guess really this ties in with all of the steps, is your motivation for weight loss. It isn't just about losing weight. It can't be, because actually that is too nebulous. It's too fluffy woofy. It's all over the place, just wanting to lose weight. It's your brain and your subconscious doesn't register it really. It doesn't mean anything. Weight loss it is literally just what you see on the scales. Thinking about what your motivation might be, the more reasons that you can think of for wanting to lose weight, the more likely you are to succeed in the long run. So this is another reason why taking the scales out of the equation, taking the number off the scales out of the equation, means that then you can actually focus on yourself, how it feels, and what your own true reasons are, your own motivation for losing weight. So have a think about it. You could write it down. I would say try and find 10 reasons. 10 reasons that you would love to lose weight. Maybe it's your joints are aching. As I say, maybe it's inspiring the kids in the family. Maybe, I'm sure it is more than one. It always is. And when you actually think about it, there are lots of reasons. And especially if you've been on keto before and you know how nice it feels, then you've got even more reasons, because then you can deep dive down into how lovely that feels and what those energy levels and enjoying a different way of eating. Maybe some peace. Isn't that just a lovely reason? Some peace with your food. Because those cravings will go. And you know they will. And I think that is such an underrated reason for losing weight, is the peace that it gives you with your food. You know, you're not constantly in that horrible cravings cycle. And that brings me to number 5, the 5th step in all of this. I'm just going to switch the light on actually, because I can see sunsets happening outside my window. So I just want to make sure it's not too dark. There we go. Okay. So number 5 is be prepared to have cravings. Sorry, rocking the table. Be prepared to have cravings and be prepared to learn from your mistakes. Okay, so again, this is a 180 degrees different approach. Again, this is about knocking out that old diet and denial way of doing things. Is actually, don't try and be perfect at this. Just give yourself a break so that you are going to be able to have cravings and make mistakes and just get back on it without that being the end of the world, without that horrible all or nothing thinking of, oh, well, I've messed up now, so I may as well eat the entire kitchen, which is generally what tends to happen when we're on a low fat diet, because you're denying yourself and you're triggering cravings. And part of cravings is that all or nothing thinking. Well, I may as well just, well, I've gone off plan now, so I'll start again tomorrow, So when I say expect cravings, if you have been off track, which obviously I guess you have been, which is why you're watching me today, you will have eaten the sugar and the processed carbs. And again, if you've been in any of my programs or even watched any of the lives, this is a real core message in all of the weight loss therapy, is that you will crave. Cravings are part of the deal. Sugar triggers cravings. End of. It just does. That's its job. So, and remember that the processed carbs all turn to sugar. They're all sugar. By the time they hit your bloodstream at 100 miles an hour, they are sugar. Pure and simple. And sugar triggers cravings. The processed carbs are designed to trigger your cravings as well. They have got cravings written through them like a stick of rock. the texture of them, the way they behave in your brain, the way they behave in your belly, all of it, all of it. They're designed that way in a lab. It's called the bliss factor. They make them that way so that you eat the processed carbs, you eat them to a certain extent, and then you want some more. Even though you've loved them, you just feel like you could just keep eating them. You just feel this unfillable feeling. It's part of the deal. So think about this. You beat yourself up every time you crave and you give in. Then what happens is that you find yourself back in this cycle again because you're blaming yourself. If you blame yourself, you won't be able to learn from those cravings and from those mistakes. You won't be able to, because you'll keep punishing yourself and you'll just keep telling yourself that you're going to be better again the next day. And it's not the way it works. And again, this is part of the old diet and denial way of thinking. That you've done something wrong and you just need to be stronger tomorrow and you just need to be more motivated and you're just going to do it differently again tomorrow. No, you're not. Your cravings will never let you. Sugar cravings kick in at the same time of day. So if you had sugar, actual, sweetie sugar at one particular time of day and you're a sugar girl, then you will kick in at the same time the next day with your sugar cravings. Okay, and processed carbs are the same. If you eat processed carbs one day, you will crave the next day. And if you're a sugar girl, the chances are you'll crave sugar, unfortunately. Or, if you're more of a savoury kind of processed carbs girl, then you'll crave the savoury processed carbs, the savoury carbs. Either way, you're going to crave. So I would factor that in. To the next few days, you will have cravings. If you've gone off track, and so you may have triggered your cravings in more ways than one. So the first two, the strongest ways are by eating sugar, eating the processed carbs. And the third way is by going on a diet. So knocking out the calories, typically low fat, that triggers cravings. That's written into the whole weight loss system, is that you will crave and you will give in. And then you will eat everything in the cupboard because you've starved yourself. So that fight or flight, that survival mechanism kicks in and makes you reach for Britain like a lizard with its tongue out in your mouth before you've even thought about it. So if you've perhaps had a combination of all three of these, trying to make up for pigging out on the sugar and the carbs by having a low calorie day the next day, then you kind of, it's easy to pull yourself into this cycle. So do not beat yourself up. It is not your fault. You can't help it. You are not greedy. You are not weak-willed. You are not demotivated. I'm sure that many of you that I actually know personally in my dietless life are highly motivated women and men who work hard and have got great lives and are very highly motivated and got a lot of balls in the air and rocking it. This has got nothing to do with you being strong enough. This is about your cravings. So expect to crave. Expect that it will happen. And this is another reason why keep your food nice and simple and feed yourself well. Lots and lots of lovely fats. If you've been on the program already, then you know that we've got some brilliant techniques for cravings. What happens is that when you do have that crave, that you will be able to use your tools to knock it out. So I would say, though, if you haven't used the program and you don't know of any techniques for knocking out cravings, one really quick little tip is if you do find yourself craving the sugar and you just crave something and you just want something and you really feel like you're missing out and everybody else is eating the popcorn or whatever, go and get some cheese. Just eat some cheese. If in doubt, eat cheese. In fact, if you really feel that craving and you really feel like a bit sorry for yourself because you really want to reach for the sugar or the crap but you're determined not to, have a chunk of cheese and put a tablespoon of peanut butter on the top. And do it twice if you need to. Do whatever you need to do. There's nothing wrong in comforting yourself with food. There's nothing wrong at all with using food as a source of comfort. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. We're not going to stop now. So don't deny yourself. If you feel that craving for sugar or the carbs, go for the cheese. Go for the high fat, high protein option. All right, because you can walk through those cravings, you can walk through them, but I would say expect them. All right, so that once you're prepared, again, it's about being prepared. Once you're aware of the fact that you will have them, here comes the interesting thing. When you do get a craving, then you can get forensic about it. Then you can look back and go, where's that from? What's all that about then? You know, right, it is all the sugar that I've eaten at this time of day, or, you know, whatever. It gives you the chance to have your own relationship with food deepened even further, and your understanding of it and what triggers your cravings. Once you know about yourself, once you're armed and dangerous, that's it. Once you know, you can't not know. You're armed and dangerous, ready for next time. And you've built up a deeper understanding about yourself. And every time you go off track and you come back on track, there's no right or wrong with this. Every time you come back on track, you deepen your understanding of yourself. So you've learned even more, so it's even more powerful. You know, that weight loss is a journey. And it isn't a kind of a single track timeline where you start here and you finish there. You know, it's not. It's learning and gathering all this information and all this wisdom about yourself and your own relationship to food along the way. It is not, you know, we're not robots, you're not a machine, and so there isn't this single track timeline. Nobody loses weight, or very, very rarely, just like boom, 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 that, without a single drift off to the left or the right, you know. Very, very rare that happens. Most of us have got a lot of unpicking to do because we've been on, you know, various regimes in the past. So our body is already confused, you know, we've already picked up all sorts of craving habits and bad food habits, you know, let's say negative food habits, self-sabotaging, cranky thinking, wonky thinking, such as, you know, the diet and denial approach, as I call it. That is all that old thinking about food. It's like, you know, seeing food as an enemy, seeing food as something that you need to be careful of and you need to portion it out. And this is why I'd say for the first couple of weeks, don't worry about weighing yourself, just fill your boots, enjoy lots of fats, keep it simple, and you will go a long way towards kind of turning all that on its head. But as I say, as far as the diet and denial kind of thinking is concerned, it will take years to go. It will take years. It's a very rare person that just wipes it out like that. You know, for you guys who've been on the BWLPRO, that's what the hypnotherapy is all about, and it helps lots and lots and lots. And it's how I've managed it, you know. That's why the program is what it is, because I've done that over the years. You know, that's what the program is for you guys, to be able to have that approach yourselves, to be able to use the tools and the techniques, and to be able to knock out all of those cravings so you feel more confident. If you do want to join the program, then just ask me more about it. By all means, message underneath if you want. I'll probably put a link for the program actually, so that you can have a look and you can read up and you can see what it's all about. It's only £37 a month, and we actually have live therapy every single month. And hypnotherapy every single month. So we have a big support group, and we have live therapy, and you have hypnotherapy, and you can bring all your issues and help you to stay on track. So there is help, there is support, there is an approach, there is a program that will help you if you feel that you do need that extra little bit of confidence in doing this. However, let me just backtrack and let me just go back over what those steps are so that you've got a clear idea. So out of this 5-step process, the clear steps are preparation, preparing yourself, preparing the day. Don't worry if you don't feel 1000% mentally prepared. Don't feel that you need to, be jumping around the place full of motivation. Just feel like this is the time, I'm ready for this. Don't let yourself get knocked out by things that come up, because something's always going to come up. So step 1 is preparing yourself. Step 2 is getting back to very simple eating. Go right back to basics, right back to very, very basic. Don't worry about anything like intermittent fasting, or, don't worry about anything other than just getting back to the simple basics, and don't worry about weight loss for the first couple of weeks. Okay, so that's step 3, is don't worry about weight loss. Hide the scales, weigh yourself, hide the scales, start to use your body's feedback as a more reliable source, or use a tape measure, or take a photo, or use your clothes, something like that. So you're using some different kind of feedback. And yes, so don't expect weight loss for the first couple of weeks. And then I would say, so although don't expect weight loss for the first couple of weeks, you do know the chances are you are going to lose weight in that first couple of weeks, because that's how it works. But just look for signs of being in ketosis rather than looking for signs of weight loss. Look for those signs of being in ketosis. If you've been in ketosis before, you know what those signs are. And again, that is like sending you this strong message, this lovely empowering message yet again, that you're in control and you're using your own skill and your own wisdom to be able to feel, you know, you're being guided by your body rather than an imaginary number on a instrument that you stand on, which just means nothing to you psychologically. So yes, don't worry about weight loss, and just remember to there was something else that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, so don't expect weight loss, but at the beginning, think about some different motivation. Okay, so that was part of the motivation. Don't expect to be bouncing off the walls, but think about, and I would write this down. I'd literally get a journal and write down at least 10 reasons why you would like to lose weight. Whether that's how it feels, your clothes and so on, feeling gorgeous in the summer, whatever that is. Okay, so it's a really important psychological step to freeing yourself from the scales. Okay, freeing yourself from the kind of the tyranny of the bastards, because they truly are. So yeah, so that's a part that goes all the way through this first couple of weeks, really, because you may well find that as you start to get back into the zone again and you notice those signs of ketosis, that even more reasons, even more motivation will come up for you as to why you want to lose the weight, when you start to remember when you physically get back into that zone, into that place again. So then step 5 is to be prepared to learn from your mistakes and be prepared to crave. Okay, and so if you make a mistake, it's absolutely fine. Just jump back in. Don't worry about it. You don't need to feel that all or nothing sense of, well, I've gone off track now, so I may as well just fill my boots. Just get back on the next morning. And along with that, learning from your mistakes, being prepared to crave and to maybe, you know, go through those cravings. If you have gone off track and you've been eating wonky, then you will crave. You absolutely will. It is a part of the deal. Eat cheese. If you get a sugar craving, the simple thing you can do is just go and eat some cheese, or a chicken leg, or something else. I mean, if you're not a cheese girl, then there's lots of other alternatives. It doesn't have to be cheese necessarily. Cheese or the equivalent of protein and fat, so that you don't feel like you're missing out. You mustn't feel like you're missing out. This is not a part of it. This is all about, this whole way of getting back on track means that you are turning the old approach 180 degrees around. So you send this message to yourself that you're doing it differently this time. You know, and you'd be prepared to be open to learning from your mistakes, and learning a little bit more, as I say, about your relationship to food as well. And to food, you know, I think there's a lot of relief in owning and acknowledging that you might be a food addict. There's a lot of relief in that you might be a sugar addict. And by sugar, I don't necessarily mean just the sweetie stuff. Because as I say, the processed carbs are sugar. They literally, carbohydrate means sugar, actually. The word carbohydrate means sugar molecule. So the processed carbs, the savoury stuff, such as the crisps and the Pringles and bread and so on, that still hits your bloodstream as sugar at 100 miles an hour. So if you're not a sugar addict, as in the sweetie sugars, you may well be a processed carb. You know, you may well still be a sugar addict, but you just got a savoury taste rather than a sugary taste. And I think there can be a real relief in owning that and acknowledging, because that means then, yes, again, you take the pressure off yourself. You don't feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're just not strong enough, that you're a greedy pig when everybody else can manage to control themselves. I can't. I need to eat when I'm hungry. I eat. I cannot be starving. Literally can't be starving. It's awful to me, and it just feels like there's just something wrong. If I'm hungry, there's something wrong. I have to feed myself. And it's a lovely feeling of owning that sense of relief, of letting go of the pressure on yourself there. This is your food, and it's vital, and you work hard. You work hard. I know you do. I know not one of you sits around watching telly all day. Not one of you. All of you guys that I know personally, you deserve your meals. You deserve to enjoy this, and you deserve to enjoy the journey. Now, I just want to tell you very quickly that bearing this in mind, if you think that you might be a sugar addict, so that is either the sweet or the savoury, that I'm going to run the next Kick the Sugar 5 days challenge on a Facebook group on April the 12th. I think it is. Let me just have a look in my diary. I'll tell you why it's April the 12th. Because it's a week after Easter Monday. Oh, yeah. So that you've got a chance to eat all the Easter eggs. There's no point in doing it before Easter. Absolutely no point whatsoever. So yes, it is. It's going to start on April the 12th, and it's going to run for 5 days. And the Kick the Sugar challenge, and there's been a few challenges in the past, and they're really, really successful. People who come and join these challenges get a lot from it. You will get some of these techniques. They're similar to the techniques that we have on the programme for knocking out cravings and being able to own your little sugar devil. As I say, it doesn't have to be sweet. It can be savoury as well. So don't feel like if it's not particularly the donuts, but more like the bread, then you're still welcome to join us. I'm going to put a link for the Kick the Sugar programme, to join the programme. I'll put it in My Diet This Life tomorrow. I'm going to put a link for BWLPRO on the front of this video. And then, yes, I shall put the link for the Kick the Sugar challenge tomorrow, and I should probably put it in a few times. You can come along and join us, and they're lovely groups. They're always really supportive, lots of aha moments, lots of challenges, and there's lives every day, and there's lots of techniques, and there's hypnotherapy in the program as well. If you'd like to try the hypnotherapy and see what that's all about, then you get to do that. And it's in a group setting. It's in a lovely supportive group setting, and everybody comes away loaded with tools and feeling mega powerful and able to be in control of their sugar monster, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it? So I hope you've got a lot from this live. It's been nice to join you. I think the last one was before Christmas, so it's lovely to be back actually, and it gives me a big sense of what's the word, connection. It's something that I'd like to do more regularly, because I do think that there's a lot that we need help with right now. It's not an easy journey, and as I say, don't expect it to be a straight line, this journey. It's going to be a learning curve, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, at the end of the day? So lovely to chat with you. Please do leave any messages under the video, please. It's lovely to know that you've taken something from the video, or just say hi, hello. It's nice to connect with you. Thanks for watching.